Hi friends, so today I am going to discuss a new topic which is steam condenser. Okay, so first of all we have to know what is a steam condenser, where it is used, what is the basis or why we are using the steam condenser in the steam power plant. Okay, so steam condenser means it is a mechanical device, or else we can say that it is a heat exchanger which can convert the low pressure exhaust steam which is coming from the turbine. It will convert it into water. That means two phase changes are there. One is a vapor into water. Okay, so next, where how we are using it or how we are converting it, with the help of cooling tower we are converting the vapor into water. Okay, or what is the objective of this steam power plant? The main objective to maintain the low pressure at the outlet of the steam turbine. Then second objective, to supply pure feed water to the hot well, so that from the hot well the water is again pumped to the boiler with the help of boiler feed pump. Okay, so these are the objective of the steam condenser. Okay, so we know that a steam condenser is a closed vessel which can maintain its pressure below the atmospheric pressure, which we can say that it will be 7 kilopascal or 8 kilopascal like this. And now we know that this is also a heat exchanger which can exchange its heat between the steam and the cold circulating water, so that its phase also change from steam or vapor to water. Okay, and the condensate which is produced in the condenser can be reused as feed water to the boiler, for which we have to use a high capacity feed pump which can feed the condensate to the boiler. Okay, so if we will discuss about the function of the condenser, the main function is to convert the gaseous form of the exhaust steam into liquid form at a pressure which is below the atmospheric pressure. Okay, and the cooling medium which we are using to convert the steam into water, that is our water in our cooling tower. Okay, so this is the main function of the condenser. If we will discuss about the other function, then another function is to it can create the vacuum by condensing the steam. Then also it can remove the the unnecessary things like air and other non-condensable gases from the steam, for which better heat transfer can be achieved. Okay, then another thing is it can provide the leak tight barrier against the air, which can prevent the excess back pressure on the turbine. Okay, so these are the function. Then if we'll discuss about the advantages of the condenser, then what are the advantages? It can increase the efficiency of the power plant due to increase the enthalpy drop. Then it reduces the back pressure of the steam, which results in more work output. Then it can reduce temperature of the exhaust steam, which also result in more work output. And then the condensed steam can be reused as feed water for the boiler, which reduces the cost of power generation, because that water we are using, so it already gained some temperature, and when it is going to the boiler, so addition of temperature is also required there, which can increase our efficiency. Okay, with low power. Then the temperature of the condensate is higher than that of the fresh water, which reduces the heat supplied per kg of the steam produced. These are the advantages of our steam power plant, of our steam condenser in a steam power plant. Okay, so this is the diagram of our steam condenser, where you can see one air extraction pump we are using, then one condenser is there, then exhaust steam is coming from the turbine, then one filter we are using, circulating pump is there which is connected from the river to the condenser, then one condensate extraction pump is also there, which also connected from the condenser to the hot well. Then another feed pump is there, which can feed the water from the condenser to the boiler. Okay, So these are the basic things. Next we will discuss about the elements of the condensing power plant. Okay, condensing plant. Okay. Now we will discuss about the elements of steam condensing plant. What are the main elements? Condenser, then condensate extraction pump, then hot well, then boiler feed pump, air extraction pump, cooling tower, cooling water pump. Okay, these 7 are the main elements which we are using. Okay, if we'll talk about our condenser, then you know that our condenser is a closed vessel which can condensate the steam, and here two phase change can be occur. One is a vapor to water. One is a vapor and another one is a water. Okay. Then if we'll discuss about our condensate extraction pump, then where it is used, it is the pump which is in between our condenser and the hot well. You can see that the diagram I told you previously. Okay, it is in between our condenser and the hot well. It can transfer the condensate from the condenser to hot well. One question there is in your mind, what is condensate? Condensate means which water is going from the turbine to condenser, that is a condensate. Okay, that is known as a condensate. Okay, then if we will discuss about the hot well, what is hot well? It is a sump like structure. Okay, which is in between our condenser and the boiler. Okay, and which can receive the condensate from the condenser by the condensate pump. Okay, and the feed water is transferred from the hot well to the boiler. This is our hot well. Okay, then if we will discuss about our boiler feed pump, what is our boiler feed pump? This is the pump which is installed in between our hot well and the boiler, and which can feed the water from the hot well to the boiler. Okay, then if we will discuss about the air extraction pump, the air extraction pump is used to extract or remove the air from the steam condenser. Unnecessary air, if it will be there, then it will remove it. Okay, and the cooling tower, what is the cooling tower? The cooling tower which contains the cold water, and the water is made to circulate within the condenser for cooling the steam. Okay, that cooling stream is known as a condensate. Okay, and then we will discuss about the cooling water pump. The pump, cooling water pump, it is in between our cooling tower and the condenser, and it circulates the cooling water to the condenser. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the working of our steam condenser. Okay, for better understanding, I have pasted that picture once again. You can see the diagram. Okay, so first what is happening here? First point is exhaust steam from the turbine. That means the steam from the turbine is coming to the condenser. Okay, and always remember which steam is coming from the turbine to the condenser, that is having low pressure. If it has low pressure, that means it is easy for it to reject the heat. Okay, so what is happening here? When the steam is coming from the turbine to the condenser, it is coming in contact with the cold water which is circulating inside our condenser. Okay, then what is happening? After the condensation of the steam, the condensate is pumped to the hot well. It is coming to the hot well through the condensation extraction pump. Okay, and another air extraction pump is there inside in the condenser, which can extract the air from the condenser. If air will extract, then what will happen? You know that vacuum will produce. If the vacuum will create, then which is vacuum will create, it will help to circulate the cooling water and flow of condensate downward. Okay, so for that vacuum is required, and for making the vacuum, air extraction pump is required, which can extract the air from the condenser. Okay, so if we will discuss about the classification of steam condenser, it is of two types. According to the type of the flow, it is of three types: parallel flow, counter flow, and cross flow. According to the cooling action, it is of two types, jet condenser and surface condenser. Then if we will consider about condenser is of four types: low level parallel flow jet condenser, low level counter flow jet condenser, high level jet condenser, and ejector jet condenser. If we will consider about the surface condenser, it is of two types: cell and tube type and evaporative type. In cell and tube type, three types of jet condenser, surface condenser are there. One is a downflow surface condenser, then central flow surface condenser, and inverted flow surface condenser. Okay. Now we can see the diagram of a jet condenser and surface condenser. A jet condenser, otherwise known as a direct contact type or mixed type. Why it is called a direct contact type? Because the steam and the water, it is directly contacted with each other. That means it is the mixture of our cooling water and the condensed steam. Okay. But in our surface condenser, what is happening? Surface condenser is otherwise known as a indirect contact type or non-mixed type. Okay. So in our surface condenser, what is happening? When the exhaust steam is coming from the turbine, at that time cooling water is coming in contact with the exhaust steam through the pipe. Okay, that means here the cooling water is going to the pipe and the exhaust steam is coming and it will exchange its heat. Okay, that is a surface condenser. Okay, so this is the basic difference in between a jet condenser and a surface condenser. A jet condenser is direct contact type and a surface condenser is our indirect contact type. It is mixed type. Mixed type means both are cooling water and condensed steam is mixed with each other, and it is non-mixed type. Okay. Next, if we will compare in between a jet and surface condenser, then in case of jet condenser, our cooling water and steam are mixed up. Previously I told you, but in surface condenser that is not mixed up. Okay. Then in jet condenser manufacturing cost is low, but in surface condenser manufacturing cost is high. Why it is high? Because we are using cell, we are using tube type. For that cost is also more. Okay. In jet condenser, our small flow place is required, but in a surface condenser it requires large flow space. Okay. Then next, the condensate cannot be used as feed water to the boiler unless it is free from the impurity, because here it is mixed type na, all the water and the exhaust steam which is coming from the turbine, that is mixed here, so there is a chance for impurity. For that we can't directly use it. For that filter is required. But in our surface type we can use it directly because it is not mixed with the cooling water. Okay. Then next, in jet type more power is required for the air pump. Then in surface condenser less power is required for air pump. Then in jet type less power is required for the water pump, but here more power is required for water pump. It requires, in jet type it requires less quantity of cooling water, but in surface condenser it is required large quantity of cooling water. Why it is required large quantity? Because it's only contact with the surface, and in jet type it is mixed with each other. Okay. So for that for surface condenser more water is required. Then next, in jet type the condensing plant is simple, and in surface type the condensing plant is complicated. Then in jet type less suitable for high capacity plant due to low vacuum efficiency. Then in surface type more suitable for high capacity plant as vacuum efficiency is high. Okay. So this is the difference in between our jet condenser and surface condenser, and this is a very important question also. Okay. So I told you about the jet condenser. What is a jet condenser? It is a mixed type condenser. Mixed type means what is happening here, the exhaust steam and the cooling water come in direct contact with each other and mixed up together, and its construction is very simple. That's why it is easier also, it is cheaper than the surface condenser. Okay, and which cooling water we are using in a jet condenser, that is also cheaply and easily available. Okay, so if we discuss about the advantage and disadvantage, what are the advantages of a jet condenser? In jet condenser, the effective mixing, it is there. Effective mixing means direct contact with each other, that's why it requires less circulating cooling water. Okay, then another one is equipment is simple and occupy less space, and it maintenance is also cheap. Though it is simple, maintenance is also cheap. Then disadvantage, it is not suitable for high capacity. Then condensate cannot be used as feed water to the boiler, because if it is, though it is direct contact with each other, then some impurities like dust, oil, metal particles will be there. That's why it is directly not sent to the boiler. Okay, then air leakage are more, it requires larger air pump. Then less vacuum maintenance is less vacuum is maintained here. Okay, so now we will discuss about the parallel flow jet condenser. Though its name is parallel flow jet condenser, that means parallelly both the steam and water enters the condenser and parallelly it will leave. Okay, that's why it is known as a parallel flow jet condenser. Okay, so what is happening here, the cooling water and the steam enters from the top and it will mix with each other. Okay, then the steam gets condensed with the help of our cooling water. Then that condensate and cooling water and our air all moves to the downward direction. Okay, in left hand side air extraction pump is there. That air extraction pump, what it is doing, it is removing the air from the condensate, so that it will make vacuum and it will recirculate. Okay, then next one is a condensate extraction pump. Condensate extraction pump, what it is doing, it is removing the extra water, because extra water from the cooling water it is coming now, so it is removing the extra water and providing it to the water tank or pond. Okay, so this is the total process of our parallel flow jet condenser. So now we will discuss about the counter flow low level jet condenser. So what is happening in counter flow? Previous one is our parallel flow, that's why both going in parallel direction, but it is counter flow, that's why the steam enters at the in this the steam enters at the bottom and the cooling water enters at the top. Okay, and the steam flows upward direction to meet the cooling water, and the cooling water coming to a downward direction. Okay, and in this type our air pump, which is it is located at the top. Okay, and it will create a vacuum to draw extra it will create the vacuum for which our water will circulate inside the condenser. Okay, then the cooling water enters into the condenser and falls on the perforated conical plate we are using here. So what is happening, the perforated conical plates convert the cooling water into large number of jets, which is showing in the figure. Okay, then what is happening here, when the steam mixed with the water it gets condensate, then the condensate and the cooling water moves downward direction through the vertical pipe and the vertical pipe to the condensate pump. Then the condensate pump, it will deliver the condensate to the hot well. Okay, so next one is a barometric or a high level jet condenser. So what is happening in barometric jet condenser. uh, So now we'll discuss about barometric or high level jet condenser. So what is happening in barometric or high level jet condenser? This type of condenser, it is provided at a high level having a long tail pipe. Here one long tail pipe is there. Okay. Then when the exhaust steam enters from the bottom and flows upward, at that time the steam mixes with the cooling water through the fall from baffle, from various baffle. Here baffle plates are there. From the baffle plates the cooling water is coming to the downward. Okay. When the cooling water is coming and it is going, the exhaust steam is going upward, it will mix with each other. Okay. And the vacuum is created by the air pump placed at the top of the condenser cell. Okay. And the condensate and the cooling water flows downward through a vertical tail pipe, which is the high level tail pipe. Okay. To the hot well without any pump. Here condensate pump is not used. Okay. That's why it is coming through the tailpipe to the hot well. Okay. And the surplus water which is present in the hot well flows to the cooling pond through the overflow pipe. Here overflow pipe is there na? From the condensate from the hot well it is going to the cooling pond. Okay. So this is the total working procedure of our barometric or high level jet condenser. Okay. And here also one injection pump is used, which can provide the cooling water to the to upward direction. Okay, because cooling water is coming from the upward direction. Now our steam is coming from the downward direction and cooling water is coming from the upward direction. So through the injection pump it can go into the upward direction. Okay. So now we'll discuss about the ejector condenser. So what are the parts of ejector condenser? One non-return valve is there. So many hollow truncated cones are there and one diverging cone is there. Okay, these are present in our ejector condenser. So what is happening when the cooling water is injected from the top, then the steam enters to the condenser through the non-return valve. Okay, when the water coming from the cooling water coming from the top and the steam coming from the non-return valve, at the time it will going to the hollow truncated cones. Okay. And the steam when it is going to the hollow truncated cones, at that time it will mix with each other and it will convert from steam to water. Okay. So at the end of the hollow truncated cone, one diverging cone is there. Okay. So what is the work of a diverging cone? Diverging cone, it when it is passing through the diverging cone, at that time the kinetic energy partially transfer into tensor energy. Okay. And after that it will going to the hot well. Both the condensate and the cooling water discharge from the diverging cone and going to the hot well. Okay. So this is the total procedure of our ejector condenser. So now we will discuss about the surface condenser. We know that surface condenser is a non-mixed type condenser. That means here the water and the condensate, the cooling water and the condensate will not mix with each other. Okay. So that's why it is known as a surface or non-mixed condenser. Then how it is working? Generally you can see the diagram. First of all, a cylindrical vessel is there in which horizontal pipes are connected with each other. Okay. So and in that horizontal pipe cooling water were passing, so that whatever the steam will come from the turbine from upward direction, it will go to the downward direction through the suction air extraction pump. Air extraction pump, it is doing the suction, so that it will come to the downward direction, the steam. Okay. And the cooling water is passing through the tube, so that when the steam is coming in contact with the cooling water tube, it will reject its heat. Okay. So this is the work of our surface condenser, and where the cooling water is passing, cooling water is passing through the downward direction, lower half of the condenser, and it is going out in upward direction, means in the upper part of our condenser, or the upper half of our condenser. Okay, so this is the total working of our surface condenser. Here we came to know that our cooling water is passing through the tube, so that it is not coming in the contact of our steam, and that steam which is converted to our condensate, that means it will reject its heat and it will convert into condensate. That condensate directly we can use in a boiler. Okay, so this is the main benefit of our surface condenser. So next we will discuss about a downflow surface condenser. So what is happening in downflow surface condenser? The steam enters from the top of the surface condenser here. After that, what is happening? The exhaust steam which is coming from the top, it is coming to downward direction with the help of our air extraction pump, or due to gravity. Okay. Then what is happening? The suction pipe of the dry pump is provided near the bottom place. Okay, and it is also covered by the baffle, so that the condensed steam does not enter into the air extraction pump. Okay, then the steam which is flowing through the condenser, that is also coming in perpendicular direction to the perpendicular direction of our which flowing cooling water. Okay, that is also called cross flow surface condenser. So now we will discuss about the center flow surface condenser. First of all, we have to know what is the difference between a downflow and center flow. In downflow, the surface condenser, our air extraction pump is present in the downward direction, so that whatever the exhaust steam is coming from the turbine to the condenser, that is coming in downward direction. But here in center flow turbine, our air extraction pump is present in the center, so that what is happening here, due to this type of placement, the exhaust steam flows radially inward over the tubes towards the suction pipe, so that whatever the steam after condensate, it is coming to the condensate extraction pump. Okay, so after that it is going to the hot well, and from the hot well it is going to our boiler directly. So this is the working procedure of our central flow surface condenser. So now we will discuss about the evaporative condenser. So what is happening in evaporative condenser? Generally evaporative means some evaporation process is going on. Where the evaporation process is going on, it is in between our cooling water and our air. Okay, so now we will discuss how it is going on. So first of all, the steam is coming from the top of the condenser through some yield pipe. Okay, and the water pumps place water on the pipe which can condense the steam. At the same time, over the water film, which cooling water film, the air is circulating. When the air is circulating, at that time some evaporation process is going on, so that when the evaporation process is going on, at that time some cooling water is evaporated through the air. Okay, and what is the main advantage of this type of condenser? How much quantity of cooling water is required to condense the steam? That can be reduced by causing the circulating to evaporate with decrease the temperature. Okay, and the remaining water is collected in the cooling pond. So this is our evaporative condenser. Now if we will discuss about the merit and demerit of surface condenser. First we will consider the merit. Then we know that in surface condenser no mixing of cooling water is there, so that directly it can used in the boiler. Okay, then any kind of feed water can be used here, that may be our oil, that may be our water, like this. Okay, and it can develop vacuum, therefore suitable for our large power plant. Okay, then it requires less power to run the air extraction and water extraction pump. then it has more efficiency. If we consider the demerits, then it requires large quantity of cooling water, then the system is complicated, costly, and require high maintenance cost, and it requires large flow space than our jet condenser. Okay, so these are the merit and demerits of our surface condenser. So now we will discuss about the effect of condenser pressure on the Rankine cycle. We know that when we are lowering the condenser pressure, at the time we can get more efficiency. But what is the demerit also we have discussed in the in our last video. Okay, when we are lowering the back pressure, at that time moisture content is increases. When the moisture content is increases, that will be harmful for our turbine. Simultaneously it will damage our turbine blades and erosion will be occur. Okay, now we will discuss about the vacuum efficiency and condenser efficiency. First of all, if we will discuss about the vacuum efficiency, why vacuum efficiency is required, how much vacuum is there inside the condenser, we have to find out. For that, vacuum efficiency is required. So what is vacuum efficiency? It is the ratio of our actual vacuum to the ideal vacuum. That means actual vacuum which is recorded by our gauge to the ideal vacuum. Ideal vacuum means which is without any leakage of air. Okay, so that is our ideal vacuum. Now if we will discuss about the condenser efficiency, what is condenser efficiency? It is the ratio of actual rise in temperature of the cooling water to the maximum rise in temperature. Okay, so we can say that condenser efficiency equals to T2 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T1, where our T1 is our inlet temperature of the cooling water and T2 is our outlet temperature of the cooling water, T3 is our saturation temperature corresponding to the condenser pressure. When we will do the numerical, at that time I will tell the usage of our vacuum condenser and our vacuum efficiency and our condenser efficiency. Okay, now we will discuss about the air leakage. Why air leakage is happening? We know that for getting the more work output, we have to lowering the condenser pressure. Okay, if we are doing if we are lowering the condenser pressure, that means the pressure inside the condenser is always less than the atmospheric pressure. Okay, when it is less than the atmospheric pressure, at that time some vacuum will create. Okay, and when the vacuum will create, that means though the pressure is lower, our atmospheric pressure, because of the low pressure inside the condenser, the air is also there. That means whatever the liquid or whatever the things is there inside the condenser, that is the mixture of our water, steam and air. Okay, now we'll discuss how it is happening, in which source air leakage is happening inside the condenser. First of all, leakage through the joints and packagings there. Then the air with steam which is dissolved in our feed water. Then in jet condenser, the air enters with the injection water. Okay, these are the three sources through which air leakage is happening inside the condenser. Then we will discuss what are the effects of air leakage. Okay, so first of all, if we lower the back pressure, at that time what is happening, the work in we know that our efficiency will increase, but if air will be there, at that time the back pressure will also increase. If back pressure will increase, then what will happen, our work output decrease. What is our main motive? We have to decrease the we have to lowering the condenser pressure. But due to air, if the back pressure is increased, then at the time simultaneously our work output also decrease. Then second thing, if air will be present, air is a poor thermal conductivity. If air will be present, that means conductivity, rate of heat transfer also reduced. Okay, and the presence of air inside the condenser also can corrode the metal surfaces. Okay, and the life of the condenser is also reduced. These are the effect of air leakage. So now we'll discuss one numerical what is there in the question. To check the air leakage of air in the condenser, the following procedure is adopted. After running the plant to reach the steady condition, the steam supply to the condenser and the air and the condensate pump are shut down. Okay, thus completely isolating the condenser. The temperature and the vacuum reading are noted at shutdown, and also after a period of 10 minutes they are 39 degrees centigrade and 650 mmHg and 28 degrees centigrade and 480 mmHg of Hg respectively. That means during the 10 minutes time period it will converted from 39 degree to 28 degree centigrade and 685 mm to 480 mmHg respectively. Okay, the barometer reads 750 mmHg. The effective volume of the condenser is 1.5 meter cube. Determine the quantity of air leakage into the condenser during the period of observation. Second bit is the quantity of water vapor condensed during the period. Okay, so this is the question. Temperature is given and our barometric pressure is also given. Okay, now what we have to find out? We have to find out the quantity of air leakage into the condenser during the period of observation and the quantity of water vapor condensed during the period. Okay, so first of all we know that our first temperature is given 39 degree. For 39 degree from the steam table we have to find out what is the pressure. Pressure is 0.07 bar. Here we have to, though our unit is 750 mmHg, we have to convert it into mmHg. Okay, so 0.07 bar divided by 0.001333 is equals to 52.5 mm of Hg. Okay, and at TH 39 degree we have to see the steam table. Vg equals to 20.53 meter cube per kg. Okay, then we have to find out the PA. Okay, because for mass we need PV equals to MRT na. For the mass we have to find out PA, VA, R and TA. TA already given, VA already given, PA we have to find out. Okay, so how to find out PA? What is our total pressure? Barometric read is 750 Hg. For fast pressure it is 685 mmHg. So 750 minus 685, that is 65 mmHg. Now we have to find out PA. We know that P equals to PA plus PS. P absolute plus P steam. Okay, so that is our PA equals to P minus PS, which is a 65 minus our PS we got that 52.5 mmHg. So 65 minus 52.5 mmHg equals to 12.5 mmHg. Again we have to convert it into bar, so it will be 12.5 into 0.001333, that is 0.0167 bar. Okay, now if we will take the mass of air 1.5 meter cube which is given, then for that we have to find out the mass equals to M equals to PV by RT. So P is given 0.0167 bar into 10 to the power 5. Okay, if we will convert it into kg, then into our VA is given 1.5. Okay, divided by R is, we know that R value is 287 into TA equals to 39 degrees centigrade. We have to convert it into Kelvin. So 39 plus 273, it will be 0.028 kg. This is the mass of air. Then mass of steam we have to find out. For mass of steam the formula is MS equals to VA divided by VG. VA value is given 1.5 divided by VG value is 20.5 0.53 we got from TS 39 degree. From steam table we got 20.53. So 1.5 divided by 20.53. So it will be 0.073 kg. So this is the mass of air and mass of steam we got. Okay. Now after 10 minute observation duration or observation time, what is the changes we have to find out? That is for TS is given 28 degree centigrade, and for that if we will find out the PS, then from the steam table PS is 0.0378 bar. If we convert it into mmHg, 0.0378 divided by 0.001333, that will be 28.36 mm of Hg, and Vg value is given 36.69 meter cube per kg. So total condenser pressure is 750 minus 480. For 28 degree it is 480. So 750 minus 480 is equals to 270 mm Hg. Now if we will find out the air pressure, then we know that P equals to Pa plus Ps. So Pa equals to P minus Ps. So 270 minus 28.36, okay, which is 241.64 mm of Hg. Okay, if we will convert it into bar, then into 0.001333. So it will be 0.322 bar. Okay, then if we will find out the mass of air, same formula, PV equals to MRT. If we will find out the MA, then PV equals to RT is equals to 0.322 into 10 to the power 5 into 1.5 divided by 287 into 273 plus 28. So it will be 0.559 kg. If we will find out the mass of the steam, then mass of the steam equals to MS equals to VA divided by VG. VA value is given 1.5 and VG value is 36.69 we got. So it will be 0.0408 kg. VG value we got from our steam table for 28 degree. Okay. Now air leakage in 10 minutes period is 0.559 minus 0.028, which is 0.531 kg. Okay, during the 10 minutes period, total air leakage is 0.531, and steam condensed in 10 minutes. Steam condensed, that is 0.073 minus 0.0408, that is 0.033 kg. I think you got it. Okay. So next question we will discuss. In a surface condenser, a section of tubes near to the air pump suction is screened off so that the air is cooled to a temperature below that of the condensate. Separate extraction pumps being provided to deal with the air and condensate respectively. 5448 kg of steam are condensed per hour and the air leakage is 4.54 kg per hour. The temperature of the exhaust steam is 31 degree centigrade. The temperature of the condensate is 27 degree centigrade. And the temperature of the air pump suction is 21.1 degree centigrade. Assume a constant vacuum throughout the condenser. Find the mass of steam condensed per hour in air cooler. Second one is the volume of air in meter cube per hour to be dealt with the air pump. Then bit 3 is the percentage reduction is necessary air pump capacity following the cooling of the air. Okay, so mass is given, then air leakage is given, then temperature of the exhaust steam is given and condensate is given, and the temperature of the air pump suction is also given. Okay, so these are the given data. We have to find out the mass. So for that, first one we have to take. First one is our exhaust steam temperature is 31 degree centigrade is given. From the steam table we have to find out the pressure. So from the steam table, for 31 degree temperature, pressure is 0.045 bar, which is our absolute pressure. Okay, then partial pressure for 21.1 degree centigrade is 0.025 bar. That is also you can find out from our steam table. Okay, so partial pressure of air PA equals to 0.045 minus 0.025, which is 0.02 bar. In last question, your pressure was given. For that we have to find out the total pressure, but here our temperature is given. For that we have to find out the partial pressure of the air. Okay, so we got is 0.02 bar absolute. Okay, so for that partial pressure, if we will convert it into Kelvin, then 21.1 plus 273, it will be 294.1 Kelvin. Okay, now we have to find out the mass. Mass is given. Here we have to find out the volume. So PV equals to MRT. For that V we have to find out. For V, in place of mass we have to put the in place of mass, here it is the air leakage mass. We are finding out the MA. Okay, mass of the air. So 4.54 into 287 into, that is our partial temperature is given 21.1. If we will convert it into Kelvin, then 294.1 divided by 0.4 divided by 0.02 into 10 to the power 5. Okay, 0.02 partial pressure we got for air. Okay, so it will be 191.6 meter cube per hour. Next, according to Dalton law, we got the VA value. After that we have to find out our mass of steam. Okay, mass of steam, our formula is, you know, that is VA by VG. VG already we got for 0.025 bar. VG equals to 54.25 meter cube per kg. So 191.6 divided by 54.25, which is equals to 3.53 kg. Okay, in second bit, volume of the air per hour to be dealt is 191.6 already we got, that is meter cube per hour. Okay, then for third bit, the percentage reduction in necessary air pump capacity following the cooling of the air we have to find out. Okay, so for that, temperature is given 27 degrees centigrade. Condensate temperature we have to convert it into Kelvin. It will be 300 Kelvin. Partial pressure of the steam is 27 degree. So for 27 degree, pressure is 0.0356 bar. From the steam table we got. Okay, so total pressure, partial pressure of the air will be